It is widely believed that there aren't many single men out there, and that the few good ones have it easy. I found some, and I didn't even need to look too hard. These are their stories.
It takes a great deal of guts as a single Orthodox Jewish man to stand in front of a camera, or as you do oftentimes, standing up on a stage talking about what dating is like and what being single is like. And I don't think it should take guts. People should be able to be honest and to talk about their personal experiences. But it takes guts. There were several men who initially were going to be part of the film, and they got cold feet and dropped out. And one of them said he spoke to people, and they told him that it would be dating suicide, as he termed it, to be part of the film. Now, you obviously don't believe it's dating suicide.
No, I don't believe it's dating. Going on a stage and performing stand-up, choosing stand-up as a profession is dating suicide. The matchmaker says, like she's like, she's like, what do you do for a living? And I'm like, I'm a stand-up comedian. And he's like, oh.
It's like, what am I going to do with this guy, right?
Yeah, it was just, and she actually did that. She was like, oh. So what do I tell her you do? Like, tell her I'm a comedian. I mean, how am I going to sell you to her? Like, well, tell her I'm a comedian. How do you make money? I'm a comedian. So I've already committed the self-decapitation.
So we're in the dating afterlife now.
Yeah, this is
It's over.
Yes, this would be the dating afterlife right now. This is like my only hope. This is my way of hopefully people understanding that you can have a profession that doesn't seem to be something that makes money, and still be somebody who's a viable option.
I'm not a cookie cutter guy. I kind of wish I was. Life would be a lot easier if I was a cookie cutter guy. I mean, I grew up as a secular Jew in Dayton, Ohio. So, but I wondered as a kid also why I didn't fit in. And then you find out, you're going to move to Israel at some point, become a rabbi, and you're hanging out with all these Christians in Dayton, Ohio. I mean, I went to secular high school, maybe like 3 or 4 Jews in the whole school. And for dating purposes, why wasn't it working out? Because when I went to the Jewish summer camp, I had no problem getting a girlfriend in the summer camp. And so you take that energy with you in college, and then you move to Israel, go to yeshiva, and you start to put the pieces together. Something's not cookie cutter here. And I went to a black and white yeshiva, but I didn't dress black and white. I'm a Cohen, Baal Tshuva. So you can see that shidduchim is going to be a little bit of an issue. Meaning, you can't just put me with anybody, just by definition that I'm a Cohen. Throw in the Baal Tshuva. I went to yeshiva in Sfat. Sfat's already off the map. So you're looking at it as a different kind of guy.
My name is David Schwartz. I'm from Seattle originally, and I got here because I wanted to study Torah. I'm a Baal Tshuva, and I came to make Aliyah in Israel, and I was introduced to the Rosh Yeshiva, Dr. Mordechai Goldstein, Zichron Tzadik Lebracha, who started the diaspora yeshiva 50 years ago. And I came in here wanting to study Torah, and I told him, he says, what are you doing here? I said, I wanted to study Torah. He says, good, that's what I do, I teach Torah. Right now, my divorce was probably about 4 years ago. So now, through that whole process, I've learned, and especially with the Rosh Yeshiva, he helped me considerably to understand the whole process and to really use the Torah and the truths of the Hazals to grow through the process. And that divorce is okay, and going through the problems that a marriage goes through, that you have these particular chances to grow through each and every stage of life. And this is just one of the times to grow through it.
I lived on the Upper West Side for 6.5 years, and Katamon 5 years as a single, 3.5 years as a married. And it's there's a lot to navigate, let's just say, in both places. Growing up as a teenager and as a kid, going to camps and having social settings, very natural. And then going to yeshiva and then yeshiva university, the social settings and the get-togethers were very few and far between, and it was very rare to have gatherings with men and women together. And I personally started to feel a lot of pressure and a lot of nerves, anxiety, and stuff like that. And then blind dating, I was very nervous and made a lot of mistakes. And
I would say I was introduced to shidduchim in a very strange way. the first date, who knows what you're doing when you're 23 and 24, first date. And I remember I was anxious to grow out my beard when I first got to yeshiva. And I got real nervous that, I think I heard back then or something, that girls weren't interested with guys, but boys really back then, 23, 24, with beards. So I shaved it off before the second date. And I showed up clean shaven, so it was probably very strange. But that was how I got introduced to shidduchim. It was like kind of a neurotic, impulsive world. And you find out it's going to be more of the same, that kind of energy.
Now, looking back, that going through the process of shidduchim, that there has to be a lot of common interest that will help people to really stick together. Not to say that she wasn't my zivug, because Hashem doesn't bring two people together who shouldn't get married. I mean, if they're not meant to be, they're not meant to be. But I think it was a very learning process, and every process that a person goes through is a tikkun, or some sort of things that needs to be fixing, and we don't know what Hashem's real plan is, and we have a beautiful child, we still get along, and a good relationship, but it just wasn't a fit from the standpoint of two people getting married. Takes two to tango.
There's no mystique. There's no mystique when you're on stage telling everybody, you're single. Got some dates from the stage with some excellent women. Excellent. I don't know if any of us were good for each other in marriage, but yeah, I mean, I've got some dates. My song where I ended with a phone number. I've worked that a couple times, and it actually has worked. I did go for the relationship afterwards, like then playing the 0508 755 688. And
I tell him afterwards, she's not for me. I get the rap sheet. David, you're never going to get married. This is your last shot. You're basically a reprobate. This is what you have to do. I'm not giving you any more chances. And I remember thinking to myself, I wasn't so hurt by it. It was more like, wow, this is who these guys are. Kind of a paradigm shift to what you would think it should be.
To perform on these days was just overwhelming for me. So to go to the Upper West Side at age 26, 27, and to go to shul, and of course the first few weeks and maybe first few months to just kind of stand on the wall with hundreds of people socializing, but slowly but surely recognizing people, from my past. I grew up modern Orthodox, so I knew this one from camp and that one from school and this one here. Slowly but surely you get to socialize. The challenge then is that at 26, 27, let's say when I got there, in a blink of an eye you can be 36, 37. And in the same place, and hanging out with the same people, and doing the same things, and living this life like you were in high school.
So 4 years of solid shidduchim. You're gonna go to Jerusalem once or twice, once every month or two, meet a shadchan, meet a girl, and all of a sudden the first impression that I'm walking away with is you don't matter. It's kind of a meat market. You're just treated kind of base. I remember I came very far on one trip to meet a guy, and I'm thinking like, wow, he's going to interview me, and we're going to talk, and he's going to find me my wife, and he says, David, can you bring me a sefer? I'm like, yeah, I'll buy you a sefer, bring it, and I bring it, and he won't look at me, sizes me up, and says, okay, shkoyach. Like, okay, but you're supposed to meet me, and we're supposed to talk, and he's like, no, I got it, I got it. So that was my introduction and indoctrination to this is going to be a fight. And everybody's got personal issues and hang-ups on some level. And so when you would reveal these things to the shadchanim, then you get strange reactions. You're basically a leper. What am I going to do with you? And then you can feel yourself moving into second-class citizen territory. And you're there. And just those dynamics are not healthy. And I remember being in a conversation with a kolo guy, an avrich in the kolo, and he was fixing his daughter up on shidduchim, and it was the mother was a gieris, so that's the mum, and so he had to find a boy with a mum, right. And so one of the boys they were looking at, I think he had no hands. Okay, Nebuch, what can you do, right? But they're looking at it like, well, I got this gieris mother, and this guy's got no hands, so it's a trade-off, the mum for a mum. Right. And I was like, well, who does business this way?
See, we were talking earlier about how chess players have chess rankings. I think in the shidduch world, it's very much the same thing, that they stamp a value on you.
That's it.
And then they try to find somebody with an equal or similar value, and then fix those people up like they're breeding horses.
No, you're single, you're a loser. It's that simple. I mean, there's no doubt. You're total loser. I mean, why couldn't you meet somebody yet? I mean, you've got no hope.
What are some of the challenges you face in the shidduch world?
That I think a lot of the focus is on the external. Money, job, security, and what the future may hold, and not so much on the internal and the idea of faith. But when I was going through the first process, that I think even with my ex-wife, is there was this idea of a higher purpose that was going into it, and a driving force behind it. And I think that idea is lost more and more as we get closer and closer, maybe to the Mashiach times, whatever the case may be. But I think that the problem that I'm facing now is external factors of the more physical world rather than the more spiritual world, and letting the hand of Hashem play the card.
Look, I firmly believed in my entire first round of shidduchim. I was married, like I said, and then my wife was nifter. So, but that's why I'm in shidduchim now. But the first time around, man, if I could meet a girl the first date and have a vort, I was doing pretty good. And I believe that. And you couldn't convince me otherwise. I really believe I'm gonna go on this date. I'm meditating on the bus ride to Jerusalem from Sfat. I'm gonna meet her. She's gonna be the woman of my dreams. We're gonna fall in love, 30 minutes tops, and I'm gonna ask her, hey, we should get married. And it's gonna be exciting, and I get to call everyone with the news, and there's gonna be a vort. And sadly enough, that did happen. It did happen. I met my wife, and Lamaisa, bless her heart, she was a great person, but we had no business being married. And I remember when I met her, and again, this is because I have a shkafa behind me saying, yeah, you should marry her right away. There's no reason not to. So after the first date, you got to figure she was pushed into the same framework. She was coming from a Masorti, Bali Tshuva, Sephardi, Israeli background. But you can imagine her mashpia saying, you got to hurry up and get married and do what you got to do. So I remember going to the Binyan Elma after the date. And I knew she was interested. She gave simanim, I am interested and I'm ready. Right? She gave obvious simanim.
On that one date.
One date. Now, a rational person would have taken it slow and checked things out. But I'm saying like, hey, she already gave the sign. We're doing this. And I saw things that were alarming. But at the same time, it was also alarming that she's basically saying, I will marry you. So I was saying, okay, game over, let's do it. So we go to Ben Yoma. I see a friend of mine who was also recently engaged. And I probably had like a magical look in my eyes. And he says, what's going on? I said, I think I just met my zivug. And he says, yeah? I said, yeah, the problem is she's either the craziest person I ever met or she's the best person I ever met. Now that that her life is over, I can honestly say both are true. She was the craziest person I ever met. And she was also a very good person. And we did get married, and we had no business getting married. But the thinking behind such a relationship was a product of shidduchim with all of its flaws in full effect. I'm not saying that I'm not at fault. I should have checked things out. That's my fault. And I'm not pointing fingers at anybody, but I bought into a flawed system, and I'm paying the price. Now, I got the two most amazing kids in the planet out of the relationship. So again, I'm not pointing fingers, and I understand a little bit of the Yeshkacha Pratis. But there are those that should know better. When I'm telling you that the engagement period was utter hell, and it was like drastic, and I was told every call is this way, keep going. No, every call is not that way. And then I'm told during the marriage, there were serious things going on here. Just to be clear, the marriage ended. Her life ended in suicide. So we're not talking about a sane person here. Now, again, should I have checked? Yeah, I should have, and that is my fault. But we're not here to point fingers. Again, what I was told by the people supporting the system, hey, don't worry about it. I have problems with my wife too.
There's something about even marketing myself. I'm like, yeah, I got to market myself a little better. Like wearing this kippah in Israel doesn't market me for the correct audience. But so I'd be fine marrying a Haredi girl. So, maybe it is. I don't know. I'm not wearing this kippah for any political opinion, but in Israel, this is a political opinion. People look at me and they're like...
That's also a big problem, that people size somebody up in an instant and think they know everything about them.
There are a lot of good men. Okay, we're all messed up. Okay, we are messed up. Especially if you grew up religious, you never learned how to become vulnerable. You didn't. You don't have the ability to, because you were never physically vulnerable, you were never emotionally vulnerable, and you never learned how to be emotionally vulnerable. To be able to say to somebody, I'm into you, is not an easy thing for a religious guy.
At the end of the day, we're not afraid. We go out there, we go on this amazing date, we feel confident, we listen, we share, we have perfect balance. The girl had a great time, and everything is perfect, and the girl still says no. The woman still says no.
So what changed? At what point was there like a change in your dating career, dating attitudes that made the difference for you?
I think there was a shift, let's say when I was, I got to Upper West Side at about 27 years old, about 30. So about 3 years in, I started to realize that if I didn't make some changes, that I could be there for a long time. I went to a workshop for singles in Queens. They had these workshops usually outside the Upper West Side. And from there I contacted the person who organized the work, who gave the workshop, and he was a dating coach and a counselor, and he guided me, and slowly but surely through his guidance I was able to get into a relationship that lasted more than a few dates, and almost led to marriage. It fell apart in the end, but from his guidance and from my willing to take new risks and new actions and step out of my comfort zone, for lack of a better cliche, I was able to feel at least more confident. This was probably at age 31 by the time this was going on. So I still took 7 years to get married. There was still a lot of navigating that had to happen, but I think the shift, let's say from 23 when I started dating and things didn't go well, blind dating, and I lost a lot of confidence, it didn't feel good about myself, to 31 when, even though the relationship fell apart and it was frustrating and painful, but at least going back out to the dating scene at 31, I felt a lot more confident in who I was.
Two people are being prodded. Hey, you, just keep doing. Hey, you, just hey, you, and eventually we'll say, hey, that's it.
Eventually, that'll turn into a very happy, successful marriage.
That's it. You need to just keep listening and don't challenge it, don't question it.
Don't listen to your feelings at all. Don't
no
share.
Feeling. That's right.
There's no feelings. There's no thoughts. There's no input from you. Just
right.
do what I told you, and
right.
it'll all work out and be wonderful.
That's it. Like I said, I remember asking. Well, this is what did it. I've just remembered. Is there something that I've been doing for the 3 months that worked? Because if there is, I'm thinking I'd like to do more of that. She says, honestly, you haven't done anything good. Oh, wow. So you're telling me that we've been going out and I've done nothing good, and there's nothing here, so we're just going to keep trying, and there's no basis of good. It's a illogical argument.
A large barrier, and with access to information and profiles and internet dating and all these different things, people already have a preconceived notion of what they're looking for, yet it might stare them in the face. They're just blocked from the quickness of the whole process. Quick 1 date, 2 dates, 3 dates, whatever it is, or maybe they're scared after 4 dates and they don't want to do that work of inside their self to really see, can I really build with this person and grow with this person, rather than saying, oh, I can't because he doesn't have a job, or I can't because he studies Torah all the time, I can't because he doesn't have an apartment, I can't because of all these different things. It allows them to really focus on that external measure when saying that life is about these challenges, and working together makes those bonds stick.
I mean, like, the biggest issue is people don't know how to have a relationship. We all have a dream. We have a dream of what it could be. And the dream, in our minds, is better than the reality. But the reality of being in a nice relationship with somebody that cares about you is much greater than the dream. But we don't know that. So we kill relationships right away. First of all, open up, okay? You wanted somebody exactly like that person who got married when they were 20 or 25 or 30. It's not happening. It hasn't happened. You could still want that, but, if you want to give other things a chance, give other things a chance. For me, it's Shomer Shabbat, Shomer Kashrut. I know I need that. Otherwise, I won't get any money from my parents. So I need that. But, for other people, just be willing to open up your heart.
A true match that is ordained from heaven. But it takes constant work, And the real work is not calling a shotgun or putting on a profile. The real work comes from my midot and my good deeds. And the more that I do, of course my faith will get stronger. Of course my outlook will get stronger, because I find a better person within that's more positive, that's more outspoken. Why? Because I have faith that it's going to happen.
And Queens community, you're dealing with a community of people who, are constantly worried what the other people are going to think. Yeah, I think it would be great. You know what would be great? If we just had this whole thing where, there's total, heter time. Total, everybody's permitted to do whatever they want as long as they're developing a relationship. Okay? This is the time, okay? This is for people over 30 who are still single, because they're going to be single forever if they don't learn how to interact. And just, however you feel, just do whatever. Try to develop a relationship. This is break heart time. Everybody's allowed to break other people's hearts too. No feeling bad about breaking hearts.
Not doing it on purpose.
Yeah, no, who cares? Yeah, just get over it.
Happens.
Get over it. Just open yourselves up. Just relationship. Just that has to be the message. Develop relationships. Be willing to have your heart broken. And do whatever you have to do to develop that relationship.
Because you're not allowed to talk, and you're not invited to talk. And I find I have to restrain myself and hold myself back. Why is it not encouraged to just be yourself?
Yeah.
I would go so far as to say, I don't think you should dress up so nice on dates. I'm not saying wear flip-flops, but I think casual dating would be much more effective. Meet on neutral terms. Dafka, don't expect to get married on the date. Go out on a neutral date to talk. We're not here to even look at looks and beauty and perfumes and colognes. Again, we're not saying go stinky with flip-flops, but how about be you? It's like, let's go on a date, and I'll tell you how I would be if I was being me, and you tell me how you were being if you were being you, and let's talk that way. Let's just talk. And what do you want to talk about? Whatever we show up to talk about. It could be that you're upset that your street's closed for construction. Let's talk about that. That's how life works. It just works. When you contrive life, it doesn't work. Shidduchim is 100% contrived.
She says that our personalities don't match. Well, we had a date for, an hour and a half, 2 hours. To figure out if two personality matches, that's kind of crazy.
So the matchmaker used to be the Rav of the community, and he knew everyone, and he made matches. And it wasn't perfect, but he did it with chachma. Today we're doing it, and again, every genre in the world is doing it with microstats. It's again saying, it's like putting your stats into a data machine, and you're crunching the numbers, and you come out this way. Hey, look at her, she's the same. Where's the spontaneity? Where's the chachma? Everything's just data.
Right. There's no romance. There's no people liking each other.
That's an usser word. You're not allowed to like anybody.
Yeah.
Liking's not encouraged. And that's what was missing from the last shit I was on. Great person, quality person, a lot of potential. It never turned into a like on any level. So then I had to imagine likes that didn't even exist. That maybe it's what the attraction is that if we would marry, we would like the same thing. You're imagining. Right. You have to like each other and the same things now.
We're not good enough to date because we don't have the best job, or little annoyances of the other person, and these little things can bother us. And deep down, it can just be a fear of moving forward, of changing our lives. And it can be that simple. It can be more complicated, but it can be that simple. And people are dismissing each other on both sides, both men dismissing women and women dismissing men for all kinds of very logical reasons. But deep down, there's just these fears holding them back.
Each person is an individual. I'm not saying it worked for a lot of people, but it didn't work for me. So those people who it didn't work for tried to push us to just be more fun, friendly. You don't have to show up to the events. If there are events, you don't have to be that mediator. You have to make the single people all understand beforehand that they have to mediate for themselves. Just be a fun, friendly person. We have to just be more fun and friendly and less uptight. There's a stick up our collective butt, and we have to get rid of that in order to meet, at least at our age, 40. Because we're not going to have that normal, regular, Jewish American family.
I would give one example to add on to what you're saying. I've been to events where as people start to trickle into the room and there might be different tables, the women will all go to one side and the men will go to the other side when they're obviously there to meet each other. And it takes a brave person to actually cross the line and try to get people to actually start talking to each other.
I mean, if you're talking about that, well, that's first.
I
think we should take the message from the Catholic school dances. They're on one side, we're on another side. You have to go and you have to invite one of them to dance. And I'm only saying this for the older single people. Understand? I'm not saying to get rid of Nagia. I'm not saying that. But the people who you've already given up on as a community, tell them to get rid of a certain halachas so that they can meet people. And that's basically what. And also, yeah, girls, stop hanging out with each other. That's a girl thing. I gotta penetrate 6. They kind of they put a little fence around them. I got to jump over. Hey, how are you doing? How are you doing over there? It's good to see. Can I get it? I want to talk to that one. You can't even do that, and you can't do that.
Can't do that.
Don't take offense. Don't take offense. If I'm not attracted to you, don't take offense to it.
I went on single Shabbatons, and the expert married people would get up and speak, and you organized one way back that I went on. But I went on many others, some when I was 26. I think the last one I went on, I was probably 37 or even 36. And they say insensitive, quote-unquote insensitive things. And a lot of my friends were very offended. Some of my friends were very offended by these insensitive comments by these expert shidduch ladies. But for some reason, I always took it as good mussar. I took it as a lesson for me that it was important for me to focus on any way that I could to get married. I kind of filtered out whatever. They spoke down to me. Yes, 100% they did. But to me, it was good mussar. I needed to get married. I wanted to get married. This person was trying to say some things to help us get married. And I always tended not to get it. I understood why some of my friends were offended by it. They spoke to singles, almost like we had a disease like shingles or chickenpox. It was true, they did that. And, but I was like, you know what, I need to get married, and these people are trying to give me good advice. And I'm happy to take it. I was really open to any kind of advice that people would give and stuff like that. The mean, insensitive one-on-one comments. Oh, you're not married already. Or, what's wrong with you? That stuff, luckily, I avoided. But that would have bothered me. But when someone got up and they had this air of superiority that they're married and that we're single, it didn't offend me the same way that it did a lot of other people.
But I was told I'm not a dating coach. You need a dating coach.
But how come 50 years ago people didn't need dating coaches?
That's what I'm saying. I saw in a profile on Facebook. I was looking at someone, and it said that they have authority to speak about parenting because they're a certified parenting coach. I'm not a parenting coach. I think my parenting is fine.
How do you get who certifies you? Are there master parents?
That's it. Everything is such a joke with accolades, yeah. And so all these little certifications. I'm a parenting coach. I'm a life coach. It's a scam. How about chachma? Yeah. Do you have wisdom? And wisdom is discouraged. It is not encouraged. And that's what the relationship is with the matchmaker. You're looking for a wisdom, encouraging rapport. Everyone needs a little wisdom in their lives.
Is every time that I go into a date, and now where I'm going on 14, 15 different women from all backgrounds, is that I'm able to see, okay, where am I, or what did I think about this one, or how am I learning from this? Why didn't happen? What do I have to work on? And it's again a question to my inside self to say, okay, there's something here that she's mentioning, and all the feedback was always positive, but why it didn't work, I don't know. But I can say the next date that I go on, I have a different understanding of who I am. If I was supposed to change or make that person really want me because I do have a job, but really I have to sit back and say, no, if she doesn't accept me who I am on the spot, then why even work to make it happen on those initial datings?
I think that's one of the big struggles that singles face when something doesn't work out. Is it because they need to change something, they did something wrong, or there's something that needs to change about themselves so next time it could work? Or they should say, no, it's fine that it didn't work, we weren't right for each other, I'm fine the way I am. There's always a tension there between, do I need to change something or am I just fine the way I am? I mean, everybody can change and grow, but is there something that I need to change in order to be able to get married, or am I marriageable the way I am and it's just a matter of finding the right person?
So people say, well, you got to go to years of therapy for that. You don't. You got to go to 6 to 9 months of dating coaching for that. No, you don't. Everyone has their own way, hopefully, to deal with it. But I think the realization of step one, that there are fears and anxieties that we all have, is the first thing. And then the second thing, and the harder one, is then how we're going to deal with it and what we're going to do about it. And of course, the third thing, and Hanan and I we've spoken about this so much, is the lack of control in this process. We don't have control.
Rabbi Pears is shul, and I feel like I'm an important person there. I'm the youth director. I didn't look into the youth directing job. They wanted me. I didn't show up, and I didn't say, like, Rabbi, I'm a 40-year-old single guy. I want to work with your kids. That wasn't the sale. Okay, I don't even honestly, like, a kid falls down, I'm like, good luck. Right. I don't want to lose, because I know you could go to jail for, like, helping kids. So I don't help kids. I do feel useful, though, as a useful part of the community. What's interesting, though, is that every parent shows up to I got to be honest, at my youth service, I have more parents than kids. Like, they like what I do, because I do, like, a little game show kind of thing and all that, but they like it, but they won't trust me with the kids. Oh, they know I'm an old and single guy. Like, I don't feel it. I know it. Wow. I think I'm an idiot? Of course I know it. I mean, I just overlook it, because otherwise it would be a little awkward.
Let's say a single woman wanted to be a youth director in a shul. Would she have the same experience of parents sort of monitoring her?
No,
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, a single woman? No. I heard about it from another woman who was saying, like, I told her she works with kids. And I was like, oh, yeah, like, do you have to watch out? Or do parents show up? Yeah, no, parents trust me. Anything. She's like, oh, yeah, whatever. The kids sit on my lap. Oh, the kids sit on your lap? Are you serious?
So when you're in Shidduchim, already you move into that kind of condescending point of view, right? Oh, I thought you were an intelligent male. Oh, but you're single. Dumb guy. Okay, I get it. So now we've moved into this little traditional view where I don't treat you like a human.
Especially when the Chagim came up. And I went Sukkot, especially Chutz La'aretz, with all these extra days. And it's the first day of Sukkot, and it's the second day of Sukkot, and then it's Shabbos Chol HaMoed, and it's like, and you're going around with with your parents to these other meals, and maybe they have their kids with their grandkids, and it can be pretty tough.
Yes, but I'll tell you this: I think that Shabbos is the hardest thing for a single person. That's really the hardest thing.
In terms of the outside pressure, there was internally. I think over the years it got harder and harder to be single, to be alone, to be lonely. As we've discussed before, you think the women are a little bit, they wear it more on their sleeves.
Right.
How lonely they are, but guys can be very painfully lonely. We don't talk about it much with our friends. It's not the kind of thing we do. We get together, maybe we play some sports. We talk about the NBA finals.
Or they might joke about it.
We joke about it.
Yeah.
We could joke about it, but to sit there and say, "Oh, I'm so lonely. I wish I had a woman," it's just not.
Yeah, it's really not a guy thing.
It's not. Be a man. Go find one.
And one thing I never see expressed is there are a lot of great Jewish men out there that are having a hard time, that are single, would make great husbands and fathers. We have to daven for them. We have to try to help them. We have to at least listen to them and care more about them. I've never seen that expressed. It's always about the women, and of course I want the women to be happy and cared for as well. This is not men against women. I want them all to be able to work together, but I never hear the male side of the story. It's always taken for granted that if you're a single man and you bring anything to the table, that you'll have droves of Jewish women just lining up desperate to marry you. I don't think anything could be further from the truth. I want to get your perspective on that.
It's a great question. I would agree 100% with you, but I think it has to do with gender roles and what gender roles are, and what a model husband really is, and if there are, because there are great men out there who can provide and who can support and who can help. I'm struggling with the fact that I'm not getting married like everyone else is, but I think that the men also have to stand up together and say, look, we are being taken for granted here. That what a good man is, and they're not being praised for being a good man, and really exemplifying those roles, or having a model of what a good husband really is, or what a good valuable match is. So it's being not like praised enough. The woman is always praised, but But a man who is really working on himself and who really wants to get married, it should be a cool thing to marry a guy that's cool.
Went to this huge single meal. It was like 160 people, 160 in a living room, but it was a living room like 4 times the size of this room. So whatever it was, I mean, we were sitting there. Somebody gets up to give a speech. Who is it? It's the only married person there. Like, you have 50-year-old single people. Some of them are rabbis. You can't trust them to give a speech. And I'm not saying rabbis are the only ones that could give speeches. I'm not saying all rabbis know how to give speeches. But this is a guy, you have him come in and giving a speech, and he starts giving this whole speech on how you have to not be you. That was his message. Don't be you.
Not be you.
Yeah, you have to change. It was all about change. Like, you have to change. He was like that. He was like a 1950s boxer. Like, right. You have to change and make yourself, better and be a different person.
Everybody tells you when
you messed up so much.
Just be yourself. He was telling you to be anybody else but yourself.
Yeah, it was the most inspirational. And then the greatest part about it, he lost everybody, and he knew he lost everybody. So he pulled the Holocaust card, which was great. Like, it was the most brilliant thing I've ever heard. Because he was like, and Hitler would have wanted, would the Nazis have wanted you to be single? They would have wanted you to be single. And I was like, It's like, way to pull the Nazi card, because he knew he lost everybody. Then everybody woke up.
You ever been at a shidduch conference where the speakers and they're saying things like, "There's so many great single women out there," or "Where are all the guys?" And you're in the audience, you're like, "Hello, I'm here." It's not so easy like you make it sound.
No, that's it. That's a good issue you bring up, because in terms of being a man and being single, there's also this level of commitment to Judaism that plays a huge part. I lived in a modern Orthodox. I grew up modern Orthodox. Went to yeshiva and YU, became a little bit more from. Like a lot of people did, a lot of friends of mine did, and then get a little, you find your kind of find your kind of place in religion, and then you're single. And as a single man, not even talking about the loneliness, you have halachic issues with being a single man, and it's very difficult to navigate, because on the one hand, if you're dating not for marriage, then you're breaking laws of nida. Being with women, intimacy before marriage, and then if you're alone, then you have to deal with your own self-control and your self-urges and things like that. You want to, as a single man, you want to try to follow the laws, and the laws are not so easy. The Jewish laws, you have to get up in the morning, we have to go daven and wash our hands and say Shema twice a day, and then to be a good Jew and all these things, and to learn Torah, and then. The intimacy laws tell us that we can't be with a woman unless we're married. So then you have a single guy and he's stuck. So as I was saying, you're talking to secular friends, 30, 35 years old, and being single, they understood that. It wasn't a big deal to be single in that age, but to not have a girlfriend, to not be with women, was very strange. To them, it was like, this guy. He's gay, there's something wrong with him, it's weird, there's something missing, maybe he's asexual, all kinds of, there wasn't a way, they weren't able to process it. And it's not so important for them, but for a single man who's trying to be religious, even the basics, we're not talking about Haredim, we're talking about all the spectrum of modern Orthodoxy, to try to navigate not being with women and trying to get married, and yes, being with women, is a very difficult, is very challenging, because your only way out, in order to follow the laws, really, is to get married. Your only way out is to get married. If you're not married, the internal struggles to follow these laws, I think, because I haven't spoken to everyone, we're going to say are close to impossible. They're very, very difficult.
I think the community has to stop judging single people, because I mean, even personally, I don't want to be part of a Jewish community a lot of times. I feel like I'm being judged with every single thing I do. Let all single men wear a tallis above the age of 30, because otherwise it's awkward. It's awkward. You can't do certain things. As a single man, even a non-religious single man, you can't do certain things.
Can you give me an example?
I'll tell you, I'm not allowed to be an uncle. I'm a 40-year-old single man. I'm too old to be an uncle. I'm not allowed to go to Little League baseball games. I show up to a Little League baseball game, I'm attacked. Like, mothers are like, who is this guy? Oh, yeah, uncle. We all have little nephews, don't we, sick man, you clown, showing up to this Little League baseball game. Yeah, we all love watching little kids in tight pants drinking Kool-Aid over there, you sick uncle. Yeah, now you're hugging him? Now you're hugging you sick man. You're hugging, who is he? He's not your nephew. Yeah, nephew. Yeah, where's your wife, you sick man? showing up. You should be a red dot on Family Watchdog. That's what you should be, you sick man. I can't go to jungle gyms. Not allowed to, but women could do whatever they want, so they don't have that problem, because a woman could be sitting there like, oh, don't ride the horse, here, come over here, Timmy, right on the leg, let's go for a little popsicle. Where's Tim? Timmy went with Karen. Karen's fine, she's a single, it's not a man, Karen's a woman. So they could do whatever they want. Like, where is it? Don't worry, she wanted to get him a popsicle, it's fine, she took him to, don't worry, nobody knows her, but she wants kids.
Right.
It's fine. That's fine. But I can't be an uncle in shul. I'm not allowed to be a candy man. I can't be part of the community. And even if I do have a tallis, everybody else could do it. Want to talk about double standard, I can't put little kids under my tallis either. So, you want to talk about double standard, that's what happens. But you're all part of it. You're part of the community, but you're not.
Right.
The dividing line is blurred, and roles are being swapped. And I can say again, from my first marriage, that there had to be particular boundaries and roles for each other. It's an equal relationship.
But we're different.
We're
supposed to be.
And if we want to start mixing roles, you're already causing a chaos. But the women aren't doing enough to be even a product to be married. And a lot of the dates that I have been on, even though I looked at it from a standpoint that this was a blessing that I could be blessed with my zivug here, as my Rosh Hashiva Zichron Tzaddik L'Bracha asked me with going through the dating process, is you have to look, is she a wall or a window or a door? Can you build on her? Not just look at her she is and what she does, but the inner parts again, is she buildable? And I don't know that the women that I've met, even though they have good qualities, I don't think that I could actually, looking back now, really build a house with them, because they don't. Again, it goes back to that principle: Jewish education and Jewish understanding and Torah understanding that God helps build that house. I don't think that piece is involved, and the women don't have that faith that it will be, and they're told it's okay not to have that faith. I mean, even shadchans now are telling me, oh well, once you get a job in an apartment, that'll fix the problem.
You can't, by definition, you can't know yourself until you know yourself. And so it's not a character flaw that you're still discovering yourself. Give me a break. So with Mrs. Newman, for example, someone I have a relationship with, that's understood. But most matchmakers are not willing to give you that. Now, it goes without saying that same paradigm exists in shidduchim. If we're going on a shidduch, shouldn't we at least allow each other to discover each other on a very open, honest, intellectual level? At the very least, you're not for me, vice versa. But, hey, interesting person. But no, again, it's in the kav of dumb guy, and then I'm forced to say, dumb woman. Not that I'm saying that, but that's how it's coming out that way. That's how the discussion goes. Because we've eliminated anything that works. It's like, why don't we just go into a shidduch talking about religion, politics, and what's the other one? Was it money, politics, and religion? Let's just do that. Because that's the reaction you're going to get.
Because that's the whole thing. I know. People are like, they know. Like the married people know. Like, you know how to make a relationship. You know how to pick up somebody. You know how to get past a second or third date. No, you don't.
I mean, a lot of these marriages are going up in flames anyway. I mean, you don't know shalom bias issues. You don't know if their marriages are really so rosy anyway.
Well, hopefully they are. Hopefully they. But look, they got married. I have total respect for that. But you don't know as much as I do
about dating.
About dating. Oh, I know about dating. I could give you dating advice.
Right.
I mean, do I know how to take my own advice? That's a different story.
Yeah, I think.
But I know how to, what's successful in dating. I know.
See, that's a problem because nobody really, really believes that. I'm saying married people and even younger singles don't really believe that. They will not come to you or me.
And it is a problem that single people don't trust single people. They really don't.
Married people tell singles to not go to other singles for dating advice. Only go to married people.
Because we'll tell them that these married people are idiots. Yeah. That's what it is. It's like the rabbis want control. They want, and I'm not saying, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that rabbis shouldn't have control of defining, like Torah for us and all of that, but they do want control. They want control, which is why they get involved sometimes in the shidduch world. Like when somebody becomes a Baal Tshuva, a returner in penitence kind of thing, it's like kind of like, this is the kind of guy you should be looking for. They want that control. They want that control. Shadchanim want that control. They don't even want to be. You know why they do it. You know why they do the setup thing? Because it's like kind of like a permitted way to talk Lashon Hara. You can talk about anybody as long as you care. Like, oh, David,
It's
you know,
fun for the shotgun.
oh,
They
he's
get
such
to
a
sit around
loser.
and gossip
Oh,
about
they love it.
people.
They love it.
And
He's such a
people doing
loser.
well.
I feel, you know, he's such a loser. He hasn't been married for 40. I just feel so bad. I feel so. Oh, now it's fine because you feel bad. It's fine. Like, oh, you know, he put on so much weight. I don't know I don't know what he's getting at. I don't know what it is. He just looks like a slob. He really looks like a slob. Yeah, I just feel bad about it. I feel bad. I want to see him get married.
Where do you see God fitting into all of this? Was it more difficult for you to daven, you know, when you're saying the same things over and over again and you run out of things to say and how to say it? Was it harder for you to find that spiritual connection?
I think when I was in America, it was harder, and I was losing some amount of faith, along with our other single friends, who at 23 we thought we'd be married. 25, 26, we're like, now it's going to happen. And by 29, 30, it was really a downer, and it was challenging, and it was harder to daven and harder to do all those things. But I think once I came to Israel, and people were less, at least in my side, people worked and stuff, but they were less concerned with all the outside stuff and all the Kashmirs, less concerned. I think it was easier just to start to get back hope and to get back faith. I have a belief also that, you know, you think that God is against you, but it's like, and things are not going well for you. But I made a shift, and I don't know, it's just from being in Israel or talking to people or just being in the Avirah, reading different kind of Musar books, that He's only there to help us, you know. Talk to Hashem, have difficult conversations, but use God to help me, not to hurt me. And if I make mistakes, He'll forgive me. You know what I mean? As long as I keep trying and keep communicating, and He's there as a help. And I think also during the time in Israel, even when I was single, I think I was able to increase my faith, and I think that helped as well.
Look, the community hasn't accepted that there are older single people. Or they don't want us. If they don't want us in the single community, if they don't want singles in the religious Jewish community, then just why are we part of it? Why? What are we doing? Why are we even there?
Because we want to be part of the Jewish community. We want to be there.
Why should we want to be part of it? I mean, that's the question that I'm asking. If they're all saying, oh, you know, like, and then they tell us we don't try. They're like, you know, we don't want to get married. Like, it didn't happen for us.
Giving us all the criticisms, judging.
Yeah, stop judging. Stop judging. Like, just you know, kind of, I don't know. Maybe don't show up to shul as married people, and then we won't feel like we're being judged.
I have a story to tell you.
Because I think we feel like we're being judged. You know something? Even if they don't judge, even if they're doing nothing, we feel like we're being judged. Like, I'm being judged.
Get into this area where people assume that if somebody is single past a certain age, he must be doing something wrong, or there must be something wrong with him. Whereas it could be that a person could be a really great guy, a great girl, just hasn't met the right one. So how do you know when somebody really needs mentoring or coaching to figure out what's holding them back or what problem they might need to address, or whether it's just a matter of staying the course and you know, eventually, hopefully meeting the right person?
I think that's a good point, and I think there's a point in how long a person has tried to get married. If a person, and it doesn't matter how old they are, if a person is 36 years old and you say, well, how long have you tried to get married? Well, I went on 3 dates back in 10 years ago, and since then I've kind of been working, so then now I want to start dating, maybe, you know, and seriously, so this person maybe doesn't need a coach or a mentor. But you have someone that's really been trying. Now, how long exactly, it's hard to tell. 6 months is probably not enough time. But if someone's been dating seriously and really trying, and they're in a decent place in their life, a decent enough place, I think at the 3 to 5 years, even less, even 2 to 3 years, if they've really been trying and nothing has been going, has been working, and I think that it's time to at least do a cheshbon nefesh, to look inside what they might be doing wrong, because as much as the other people do things wrong, they might be doing things that are holding themselves back, and to consider getting the coaching, the dating, the mentoring.
How do you think things can change or be made better when the shadchanim and the establishment basically is so set in its ways and so convinced that this is the Torah way, this is the only way, and they're not willing to listen to singles? What can you and I and other people do to really make a crack in the walls and start changing things?
Yeah, so this is a topic that bleeds into every genre of Yiddishkeit, I believe. And that is, Frumkeit is a new deity. Now, that's a radical statement. And I'm not saying don't be frum.
I know exactly what you mean, and I'm totally on board with it, but please continue.
So the thing is, everybody wants to make clear when they talk about these things, hey, but I'm frum. Hey, I'm still religious, you know. That shouldn't be in question. We have to think bigger, better, faster, stronger, innovative, creative, and of course not compromise Frumkeit. No one's suggesting that. But to play down Frumkeit into a game of how frum you can be for the sake of some kind of fake Mendoza line isn't helping anybody.
The community maybe has messed up a bit too. Just got to stop blaming the person who's just single. If you want it, if it's a community thing, blame the community too, because we are products of our environment.
You know, again, God works with Siyata Shmaya. Fine, we get that. There will be the guy who goes to Meisharim and he'll find his wife there. But you can't base in an industry that the success of the Jewish people rides on. Okay, is there anything more important than Torah and Yiddishkeit than Shidduchim? Probably not. More important than davening, the Chagim, and Torah itself. Right? If marriage stops, goodbye Judaism. It is that simple. It's the first mitzvah in the Torah for a reason. Don't you think there should be a drop of Chachma in this system?
Is I think that there needs to be more education about what a Jewish marriage really is and what marriage is to the Jewish nation, and an understanding of how to build a Jewish home.
They should first teach them to have personalities, allow them to have personalities, teach people to say hi to each other first thing. Never call a blind date a date. A shidduch is not a date, it's a meeting.
That is
okay,
so...
just relax. You know, I can't get past a second or third blind. Like, I can't get past a second blind date because it's a blind date.
I don't think a blind date should even. I've been saying this for a long time. I think a blind date is actually date zero, because to me a date is two people who actually mutually want to meet each other, and you don't know that going into a blind date.
Let the relationship be more fluid and more like let it progress rather than forcing two people together in a makeshift idea.
What more do you think the Orthodox world can do to help singles in general, and especially single Jewish men?
Okay, that's a very good question. First, something we touched upon is, of course, that they have to be properly empathetic and realize that, for the most part, this back to the religion part, is that because the only way out is to get married, for the most part, 99% of the people, or maybe 95%, do want to get married and are trying to get married. Single till I was 38. It's easier for me than someone who was married at 21. Or 20. I can't relate 100% to these people. I don't know what it's like to be married at 20, to go from your parents' home, be in college, and be married already. And a lot of these are the people that are giving the advice. The other thing is that in this modern Orthodox world that I'm in, is that there's different ways for different people. Some people are going to do well with setups. Some people are going to do better with social events. It's not one for everyone. Some people, maybe some setups and some social events, and some social events are too big, so maybe, that people have that. And I think you've also organized it so that people have Shabbat meals with smaller groups of 3 men, 3 women.
It was a very strong, the woman that hates the man. There's a lot of that going on. A lot of it today. When the last shidduchim that I was on, I felt that was a large part of it. The women are encouraged. The man is just a dumb guy, and you got to deal with him. But no different than we have to deal with our wives.
I think the best thing, and it's hard to do because the communication apparently hasn't been so great. I think the best way out, the best way that married people can help single people, is through mentoring or coaching. I don't think looking at singles or people in general with mental illness, if they're single or even like suspecting them of that is going to be helpful. But I think maybe they use the word coaching, and coaching is too much like therapy. Maybe mentoring is a better word, because if someone goes into a job, right? If someone goes into a career, I think they need a mentor to help them. In our religion, we call it a Rebbe, right? In yeshiva, who's your Rebbe? You just learn yeshiva with a book, and you go to a class. That's not yeshiva. You have a Rebbe, right? Whether that Rebbe's in yeshiva or he's your Rebbe, someone you ask questions to, someone you speak. So we need that kind of. We need that, I think, in the single world for both men and women.
A more friendly society. Support a more friendly society. That's the message that I would just give. A more friendly, open society, less judgmental, so that everybody just feels like, we could do whatever we want.
Why are you willing to talk about such personal things and be part of this film?
Well, first is I'm hoping that this will be some sort of tikkun that will get me married even sooner.
Amen.
But also because when I read your post to come and to apply for such a thing, it really struck me that the message has to be said. And so I'm doing this not for myself, but for a greater whole. And my Rosh Yeshiva would always say that, look, once you start getting in the business of helping Klal Yisrael, and if you're doing it L'Shem Shemayim, then the bracha comes. And so I'm only doing this in honor of my Rosh Yeshiva, Rav Goldstein, Zichron Tzaddik L'Bracha, and in his merit, to be able to help Klal Yisrael, which is one of the biggest blessings that a person can do. And in this situation, it's what's called for. So, of course, I'm going to self-sacrifice my own and be vulnerable and give over the message so that I can help in ending this madness.
Well, I think the message is beautiful. I think the message of all the participants in the film is beautiful, and I hope the film not only helps them to find the right person, but helps really spread the important messages and the pieces of the puzzle that each person brought to educate people and to make things better for single men, for single women, for the entire Jewish people. And I hope the feedback we get is that you're able to find your zivug very soon, and everybody else involved with the film. But we should get feedback from many singles that it helped them in some way, helped them cross that boundary or whatever was holding them back, or give them a new insight to help them cross that threshold and to enter into a beautiful marriage. That's what this is all about.
Amen, amen.